at least you have a beautiful dry day to finally put the keel back on the boat. Our new keel bolts finally arrived and were installed into the keel. Once we finally got a dry day, it was time to prep the hull and keel for reattachment. The hull was sanded smooth so the surface would mount flush with the keel.
So this is PVC tape, so it's just for keeping the Sikaflex off the non-contact area of the keel. Putting the Sika primer on.
So we're putting the primer, the Sika primer, a couple inches up on the bolts.
I was counting where the rubber strips should go.
One change we made to the process that was recommended by the boat manufacturer was to place hard rubber strips on top of the keel to keep all of the Sikaflex from squeezing out of the joint when the hull is lowered.
And the bolt holes were drilled out at the openings a little bit so the adhesive would fill in around the bolts.
Sika activator. I'm going to clean the whole surface of the keel and the hull. That stuff.
And finally, the Sika primer was painted onto the hull as well.
Once the prep work was done, the hull was picked up to put on top of the keel. Next, the hull was lowered so the tall bolts on both ends of the keel were inserted into the hull for alignment. This was the tricky part because the bolts could get bent if they were just a few millimeters off. Next, Sikaflex 292 was piped on top of the keel. There were 15 tubes at the ready, and this part had to be done quickly because in the heat and humidity of Panama, this product develops a skin within 30 minutes. With the keel covered in Sikaflex, the hull was lowered all the way down.
The oil coming out this time.
One of our rubber strips came out.
That's why I wanted to epoxy it.
The Sika should have, that was almost an hour ago. That's a lot that came out too. It's definitely more like a putty than that 5200, which just is so runny.
Adrian's going to be doing some cutting. Got to cut one of the bolts.
así atento. First one, 90.
But then some bad news.
So we had a problem when we set the hull down that one of the rubber strips
Slid out.
kind of popped out on this side. They pushed it back in, but then yesterday they were kind of starting to remove the excess Sikaflex 292, and they exposed the edge of the rubber that's kind of now visible. So we're going to try and cut that back, which is really hard because it's obviously very compressed, but we're going to try and
I think it's fine now.
kind of trim it back as much as we can, and then refill that area with Sikaflex before we tighten the bolts anymore.
It looks like it's very closed on the inside. This is really just surface right here. I guess surface is important, but we just need to fill it in a little bit more.
Yeah, and without getting it wet, because unfortunately it's raining. Okay, now this is all sealed up with a little extra Sikaflex. And now we're going to tighten the bolts to about 70% of the max torque spec.
Suave.
So they put the fairing on today. It's hardening right now. This is what's going to seal the keel seam. It's made of epoxy. So they covered the fairing with primer. So hopefully today they're going to sand and paint with some anti-fouling paint.
The keel is now painted, and we went with black. You know, we wanted to look a little bit more shark-like. You know, we figured this might keep maybe orcas won't attack our boat when we sail around the world.
Once the paint dried, we went back in the water to head out for a test.
We are in the water now, and we're going to go out and see if she's leaking.
I'm so nervous, honey.
Me too.
If this doesn't work, the only place I could think on the boat that's potentially leaking is maybe the rudder.
We checked it. The surveyors checked it. We didn't think it was leaking. We're about 2 minutes from the break wall, so just make sure you're holding on. Well, the bilge pump just went off. We're hoping it has rained quite a bit since we've been here. Oh, it just went off again. Bilge pump went off! Shit. Bilge pump just went off again.
The bilge is filling up.
Shit. Keep tasting it. Because there may be fresh water that's accumulated from the rain.
Engine's dry.
Okay, engine's dry.
It still tastes fresh to me, like slightly salty, like it does not taste like seawater.
Yeah, it tastes like rainwater to me.
Yeah.
Looked like all that water that came in at first was rainwater. It was definitely fresh water, because we tasted it, of course. So
Bilge water.
we're dedicated. and it stopped coming in, so we're calling it a success and turning around and heading out. So what we think is it was rainwater that it rained a lot. We were on the hard for 6 weeks and it rained a lot, and then also Norm just pressure washed the deck right before we took off. So probably a lot of rainwater was sitting in various areas of the bilge, and as the boat moves, it just kind of all collects into the center area, the lowest part of the bilge, which is where the keel bolts sit.
It was a short sea trial in some rough conditions, but so far, no saltwater leaks.